Listen before we even get started. I need you to understand something. Words, they're not just noise. They're weapons. They're tools. They can build your name up or burn it down faster than a match to gasoline. I've seen people lose respect, lose opportunities, even lose themselves, not because they weren't smart, but because they didn't know when to shut their mouth. See, being intelligent ain't just about what you know. It's about knowing what not to say. It's about having the discipline to let silence do the heavy lifting when your ego's telling you to talk. Some of y'all in here, you've been wondering why certain doors stay locked for you. It's not always because you don't got the skill. Sometimes it's because of the way you carry yourself when you open your mouth. You might be out here giving away your plans to people who don't deserve a front row seat to your vision. You might be defending yourself in arguments that don't even matter. You might be speaking just to prove you know something. Not realizing the smartest person in the room is the one who doesn't need to prove anything. Now, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to put you on game. The streets taught me, business taught me, life taught me. The wrong words at the wrong time can cost you way more than you're willing to pay. Intelligent men, they move different. They don't just know things, they know control. They know patience. They know when their silence is louder than any speech. And if you really want to level up, if you really want to walk in rooms where respect is given before you even say your name, you're going to have to learn the things smart men never let slip from their lips. So sit tight, because by the time we're done, you're not just going to hear this, you're going to feel it. And once you feel it, you're never going to look at your words the same way again. The first thing you got to understand is this: intelligent men never run their mouth about their next move. They keep their plans close, because the second you start telling everybody what you're about to do, you're giving them the opportunity to stop it before it even starts. And the truth is, most people ain't rooting for you the way you think they are. They'll smile, nod, clap for you. But the moment you leave, they're figuring out how to make sure you never get ahead of them. That's why the smartest moves, they're made in silence. You think the most dangerous people in this world are loud. Nah. The dangerous ones are the quiet ones. The ones you don't see coming until they've already made their mark. Loud people want attention now. Intelligent people want results later. You can't get both. The second you open your mouth and lay all your cards on the table, you give somebody the power to play your game better than you, or worse, play against you. I've watched people ruin $1 million opportunities because they couldn't resist bragging about something before it was done. They'll post it, tell it, share it with everybody, and by the time they're ready to make it happen, it's already sabotaged. You don't need validation for what you're building. The validation is when you show up and it's already done. Nobody can destroy a move they didn't even see coming. And I get it, some of you want to share because you're excited. You think telling people is going to motivate you to follow through. But let me tell you, discipline isn't about hyping yourself up with other people's reactions. Discipline is about grinding when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when no one even knows what you're working on. If you can't keep your moves to yourself now, you'll never have the power to control them later. Here's the thing, every time you open your mouth about your next step, you're not just talking to people who might be happy for you. You're talking to people who might envy you. And envy is dangerous. It doesn't always show up with hate in your face. Sometimes it shows up in fake advice, harmless criticism, or people suddenly making moves that get in your way. You'll never even know they're blocking you because you told them exactly what lane you were driving in. You got to get comfortable with moving in silence, even when it feels unnatural. When somebody asks, what's next for you? You don't have to give them a full blueprint. You don't owe them details just because they asked a question. Smart men learn how to answer without answering. You can say, you'll see soon. or working on something big, you keep it short, you keep it vague, and you keep it moving. If they're really for you, they'll respect your privacy. If they're not, well, you just made it harder for them to touch what's yours. And don't get it twisted. Silence ain't weakness, it's strategy. It's you controlling the flow of information. It's you making sure you're not building in a storm you created by running your mouth. People underestimate you more when they don't know what's coming. That underestimation, that's power. Because when they can't predict your moves, they can't prepare for them. And when they can't prepare for them, you win without even having to fight. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who always seem to land on top. You rarely see them announce something before it's ready. You hear about it when it's already in motion, when it's already dominating. That's the blueprint. That's how you stay ahead. You protect your energy, your focus, and your vision by keeping it away from the mouse that could poison it. I know some of you are surrounded by people who pressure you into sharing everything. Friends who want all the details. Family who wants constant updates. Coworkers who act like they're just curious. But you don't owe anybody the full story of what you're doing. If they're really in your corner, they'll cheer when you win, not demand a front row seat while you're building. And I'm telling you, the more you practice this, the more you'll see how powerful it is. The less you speak, the more your actions speak for you. And when your actions speak, they speak with results, not promises. Because promises can be doubted, twisted, or stolen. Results, they can't be denied. So next time you feel the urge to spill your plans, stop yourself and ask, am I talking because it helps my goal? Or am I talking because I want attention? If it's for attention, stay quiet. That silence will protect you more than any defense you could ever speak. Real intelligence is knowing your words are currency. You don't spend them on just anybody. You invest them where they multiply, and you hold on to them when the return ain't worth it. Because once they're out there, you can't take them back. And the wrong person with the right piece of information can undo months, even years of your work. Play it smart, move in silence. Let your wins do the talking. And when you finally show the world what you've been working on, let it be so solid, so undeniable, that it doesn't matter who tried to stop you, because it's already too late. Another thing intelligent men never do is speak when they're angry. Because anger is like giving somebody your steering wheel. They can take you anywhere they want while you're too blinded to notice. You might think you're in control because you're speaking louder, moving faster, or standing taller. But really, you're letting somebody else pull your strings. That's not strength, that's you being played. See, when you're angry, you don't hear right, you don't see right, and you definitely don't think right. You react in the heat of the moment, and in that moment, you can say or do something that takes years to fix, if it can even be fixed. The smartest men I know. They could have said something in anger that would have ended deals, ended relationships, maybe even ended their freedom. But they didn't. They took the hit, they swallowed their pride, and they waited. They understood that sometimes the smartest move is to say nothing until your mind is cool enough to aim your words with precision. Because here's the truth. You don't have to respond to everything. The world's going to keep trying you, pushing you, poking at you just to see if you'll break. But you don't give them that show. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they can control your emotions. Every time you keep your cool when they expect you to explode, you win. Every time you take a breath instead of snapping back, you're building a reputation as a man who can't be baited. And that reputation, that's worth more than whatever temporary satisfaction you get from clapping back. Anger makes you predictable, and predictable men are easy to beat. If somebody knows all they got to do is press the right button to get you off your game, they'll keep pressing it. They'll make you lose focus in meetings, lose respect in front of your people, lose control of situations you could have handled. That's why emotional discipline is the highest form of strength. It's not about never feeling anger. It's about never letting anger decide what comes out of your mouth or what move you make next. And let's keep it real. Most people want you to lose your temper. They're not looking for a conversation, they're looking for a reaction. They want you to mess up so they can say, see, I told you he's like that. They want that one clip, that one moment, that one slip up they can use against you forever. Don't give it to them. And I always say, if there was, don't let a moment of rage become the highlight reel they play when they try to ruin your name. You gotta learn how to pause. That pause is everything. When someone comes at you sideways, when you feel the heat rising in your chest, don't let your mouth be the first thing that moves. Let your mind move first. Process it. Ask yourself, if I say this, will it help me or will it hurt me? If it's gonna hurt you, you already know the answer. Let it go. If it's gonna help you, make sure it's calculated, not chaotic. People confuse silence in a heated moment with weakness. But silence in the right moment, that's control. It's you showing them that you can take all that energy, all that tension, and still walk out without saying a single word you'll regret. That's power most men never master. That's why they stay stuck in cycles, blowing up, apologizing, blowing up again. But when you control your tongue, you break that cycle, and you start winning battles without even raising your voice. And here's the thing. Sometimes it's not even about the other person. Sometimes it's about you protecting your own peace. Because when you speak in anger, it's like throwing gasoline on yourself just to burn someone else. You're going to feel that fire long after they've walked away. Intelligent men understand that protecting their peace is more valuable than proving a point. You want to really destroy somebody who's trying to get under your skin. Stay calm. Smile if you have to. Watch how fast they crumble when they realize they can't control you. People feed off your energy. If you give them chaos, they'll keep throwing chaos at you. If you give them nothing, they starve. And when they starve, they lose interest. Now, I'm not saying never defend yourself. I'm saying defend yourself smart. Pick your timing, pick your words, and pick the moment when you're in full control. That way, when you finally speak, it's not just noise, it's impact. It lands harder, it lasts longer, and it moves things in your favor instead of against you. You gotta think long term. Short-term anger gives you short-term wins that come with long-term damage. Long-term thinking gives you short-term patience that leads to long-term power. That's how you build a reputation that makes people think twice before crossing you. Not because you're loud, but because you're strategic. Every king, every boss, every man who's held his position over time has mastered the art of controlling his mouth when his emotions are loud. They know the wrong word at the wrong time can destroy everything they've built. And they know the right word at the right time can change everything in their favor. That's not luck, that's discipline. There was. So next time you feel yourself about to speak out of anger, remember, you're either feeding the fire or you're starving it. One choice builds you up, the other burns you down. Make the choice that keeps you standing. Another thing intelligent men never do is speak in a way that cheapens their value. Because the moment you start talking without thinking about the weight of your words, you start taking away from the power you've spent years building. Your voice is your currency. Every word you speak either adds value to it or spends it. And if you keep spending without investing, you end up broke. Not in your pockets, but in your influence. See, a man's presence isn't just in how he looks or how he moves, it's in how he speaks. People size you up from the way you talk long before they decide to deal with you. You can have the cleanest suit, the biggest car, the flashiest watch, but if your words sound sloppy, careless, or small-minded, that's what sticks. You could be worth $1 million, but talk like you're worth a dime. And that's exactly how people will treat you. That's why smart men guard their mouth like it's a vault. They don't just let anything spill out. They don't waste words on gossip. They don't throw themselves into petty arguments. Was. And they don't run their mouth about things they don't fully understand. Why? Because every time you speak, you're either building credibility or tearing it down. You can't build a powerful name in public if you sound reckless in private. And let's be real, the people who talk the loudest about everything usually know the least. Intelligent men don't feel the need to prove they know something by saying everything. They understand that mystery is a form of power. The less you say, the more people lean in to hear when you do speak. You give away too much, you become predictable. You give away too little, they have to keep watching, keep guessing, keep respecting. Cheap words come from cheap thinking. If all you talk about is people, drama, and meaningless distractions, you're basically telling the world you're small-minded. If you're constantly talking about things you don't have, dreams you haven't worked for, or plans you'll never execute, you're just selling air. And people buy into that for a while until they realize you're not delivering. Then your words stop holding weight. And when your words don't hold weight, you don't hold weight. Was. The strongest men don't waste time proving themselves in conversation. They prove themselves in results. They don't talk about money. They show it in how they move. They don't talk about loyalty. They show it in how they treat people. They don't talk about power. They show it in the way they carry themselves. Words are supposed to be the backup to your actions, not the replacement for them. And here's the thing. Every word you put out is like a receipt. It's proof of what's in your mind and what you stand for. People will hold you to what you say, so if you're running your mouth loosely, you're giving them a pile of evidence to use against you. That's why the man who talks less gets caught less. He can't be quoted on something stupid if he never said it. You also got to remember that your voice travels further than you think. You never know who's listening, who's watching, who's remembering what you said. That's why cheap talk is dangerous. It might feel small in the moment, but it can echo in rooms you haven't even walked into yet. And once your words hit the wrong ears, you can't take them back. Smart men pick their words like they pick their investments, carefully, with long-term gain in mind. They know that one well-placed sentence can change a room, shift a deal, or build a bridge. But they also know one reckless statement can burn it all down. So they train themselves to pause before they speak, to measure the weight of their words before letting them out. Don't get it twisted. This isn't about being fake or hiding who you are. It's about being strategic. You can be real without being reckless. You can be authentic without being careless. You can be honest without being destructive. The goal isn't to talk less just to talk less. The goal is to talk better, to talk smarter, to make every word serve a purpose. Because when you cheapen your words, you cheapen yourself. And the world has a way of taking you at the value you set for yourself. If you speak like you're worth nothing, they'll treat you like you're worth nothing. If you speak like you're worth everything, you force people to adjust how they deal with you. That's why the most respected men in the room aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who know the power of silence and the precision of the right words at the right time. So you got to ask yourself, are you talking to impress or are you talking to impact? Because impressing people fades fast, but impacting people, that lasts. People will forget the flashy phrases and the empty boasts, but they'll remember the words that shifted something inside them, that made them think different, that made them move different. And that's the real secret. When you stop chasing validation with your words, you start building influence with them. Was influence that can walk into a room before you do. Influence that can get you into spaces your resume can't. Influence that makes people respect you even when you're not around. So never cheapen your value by talking just to talk. Speak with purpose, speak with weight, and make sure every time your mouth opens, it adds to who you are, not subtracts. Another thing intelligent men never do is beg for acceptance. You don't put your worth in somebody else's hands and wait for them to hand it back to you with a smile. You don't stand around hoping they'll see your value. If you're moving like that, you're already telling them you're beneath them. Because here's the truth. The moment you start chasing validation, you lose leverage. See, smart men understand that respect is earned, is not requested. You don't send out invitations for people to respect you. You build yourself into somebody they can't afford not to respect. That means your energy, your standards, and your boundaries are solid. It means you're not afraid to walk away from anybody who doesn't treat you the way you've made it clear you deserve to be treated. People test you. They push to see how far they can go with you. And every time you bend for no reason, every time you accept less than you're worth, you're teaching them that's all they need to give you. A smart man knows the first time somebody crosses the line and gets away with it, they'll cross it again. That's why he sets the tone from day one, not with threats, but with the way he carries himself, with the fact that he's not afraid to walk alone if it comes to it. Begging for acceptance is like putting your crown in someone else's hands and hoping they'll place it on your head. They might, but they might not. And even if they do, it's theirs to take away whenever they want. But when you keep your crown in your own hands, nobody gets to decide when you wear it. Nobody gets to dictate your worth. And this world is full of people who will never give you the recognition you deserve. Not because you don't deserve it, but because it costs them power to admit your greatness. Some people will go their whole lives pretending they don't see you winning just to keep from boosting your confidence. That's why you don't wait for applause to know you're doing something right. You move like the work you put in is enough proof. And if they clap, cool. If they don't, you're still moving. It's dangerous to let outside voices define your inside value. If the world builds you, the world can break you. But if you build yourself, nobody can take that from you. A smart man keeps his self-worth locked in, untouchable. He doesn't need constant approval to keep going. He doesn't adjust his character based on who's watching. He doesn't switch up his values just to fit in with whatever crowd he's around. He stays solid no matter the environment. And don't confuse this with arrogance. This is discipline. Discipline to know your value without being blinded by ego. Discipline to not crumble just because somebody didn't give you the response you were hoping for. Because the truth is, not everybody's opinion even matters. Some people's approval is so cheap it wouldn't add anything to you even if you got it. So why would you hustle for it? Smart men know there's a difference between building relationships and begging for validation. Building relationships is mutual. It's respect on both sides. Begging for validation is one-sided. It's you reaching up while they look down. And if you have to reach up too far, you're probably in the wrong room. You ever notice that the people who don't need acceptance are the ones who get the most of it? That's because respect chases strength. When people see you're not desperate, they start wanting to be in your presence just to understand how you're so comfortable standing on your own. Desperation pushes people away. Self-assurance pulls them in. Sometimes the reason you're not getting the respect you deserve is because you're asking for it too much. You're over-explaining yourself, over-defending yourself, trying too hard to make them see what's obvious. Smart men don't waste energy like that. They let results speak. They let consistency speak. They let their absence speak when they pull back from places where they're not valued. If you're in a room where you constantly have to prove you belong there, you're in the wrong room. Because the right room recognizes you before you even open your mouth. They can see it in your presence, your demeanor, your confidence. And if you haven't found that room yet, you don't settle for the one that half respects you. You keep building until you walk into a space that matches your value. The people who can't accept you as you are will always try to remake you into what they're comfortable with. I want you smaller so they can feel bigger. They'll want you quieter so they can talk louder. They'll want you dependent so they can control the narrative. But smart men know if you have to shrink yourself to fit in, that's not acceptance, that's surrender. And a man who surrenders his identity just to be liked loses himself in the process. You want to be in a position where your value is so clear that acceptance is the natural byproduct, not the goal. Because when you focus on becoming undeniable, you stop worrying about whether people let you sit at their table. You can build your own. And when you build your own table, you choose who gets a seat. The more you grow, the more you'll realize that not everyone's supposed to like you, and that's fine. In fact, if everybody likes you, you're probably not standing for anything. Because standing for something will always put you at odds with somebody. The goal isn't to be liked by everybody, it's to be respected by the right people. And that respect doesn't come from begging. It comes from living in a way that makes your presence impossible to ignore. So if you find yourself chasing acceptance, stop and ask, what am I giving up just to be let in? And is the price even worth the seat? 9 times out of 10, it's not. Because what's the point of being in the room if you had to leave yourself at the door? The man who knows his value doesn't wait for permission to be himself. He walks in it, lives in it, and lets the world adjust. That's the difference between someone who's accepted and someone who's respected. One can be taken away, the other is earned for life.